People around the world, you welcome on POP Podcast, Progress Over Perfection, the podcast that will change your life forever. Are you ready? Let's go!
Hello, everyone, and you welcome a new appointment with POP, Progress Over Perfection. Today, we travel to Arizona, Phoenix, and we're going to meet Miriam Valenzuela, and we talk about masculinity and masculine and feminine energy in relationship. Miriam Valenzuela is a yoga teacher and metaphysician with 20 years of experience. She's a certified law of assumption and life coach. She helps individuals create a fulfilling life, and her unique blend of spiritual insight and practical coaching empowers personal growth, inner peace, and transformation. You're welcome, Miriam.
Hi, Mauro. Thank you so much for having me here. I am very excited for your podcast. I can't wait to hear other speakers as well as to hear from your own wisdom.
Fantastic. Listen, Miriam, today we talk about masculine and feminine energy in relationship. You're an expert on this because you work on this. But I have a question for you. What led you to choose this kind of profession? How everything started for you?
Well, the way that it started was out of deep pain, actually. This is nothing that I imagined myself doing. I was always a dancer growing up, and I actually took in school industrial engineering. So nothing to do with spirituality and the healing itself, right? Like dance maybe a little more in touch with, the body, but I came across yoga practice because of a video on a lady that looked like I do Hawaiian dancing, and I looked at this video like 24 years ago, and this lady had this Hawaiian looking crown, and I bought the video, but it was yoga video, and I didn't know. Her name is Wailana. She is very popular in the yoga teachings, and that is how I was like, oh, this is weird. I don't know what it is. It's definitely not dance. But I fell in love with the exercises and the videos that she shared. And so I started practicing that. And the way that I started teaching into metaphysics was because I had a spiritual awakening that was very brutal in my life. And the catalyst for that was pain and, like human pain and suffering. Like I was going through a divorce. I had pain from my house. So there I have family with addictions. I had just adopted a child and it wasn't working out. So it's like everything. I had a business that was not blooming. And it's like I reached a wall in my life. So I had my kids and my pets and I was happy with that. But I needed a change. So after 18 years of marriage, I decided to divorce. And that is a big, you know, change in life. And from there, I didn't know what to do. I was broke. I was a housewife all the time. So I didn't really have, a direction. And I was older in life. So society usually likes people young to start working, right? So as a mom, divorce, like all these things against me. And that prompted me to look for something. Like I was like, I can't fail. I have 3 kids. I need to do something. Like for me, I need to transform my life. This can't be it. So I started looking for some sort of feeling. I had read this book a long time ago by Louise Hay. She already passed, but she is a great teacher when it comes to healing. And my parents had that. They had a library and I loved to read their books. So I remember that book and it's like it called me. So I went on YouTube and searched for her and started with her teachings again. And from there, one thing led me to another. It's like, now, fast forward to where I am right now, I realize that when we are ready, the universe or God, higher force will deliver for us. It will bring the people, the circumstances. We don't need to look for it. So that's basically how I came to all this knowledge, and I just couldn't next up, I had this person recommend me this book. It's the Kybalion, and it was a random encounter too. I just don't want to take more time into that story, but she recommended me this book and I bought it because I felt intrigued. And it's all about hermetic principles and spirituality and all of that. And by this time, I was already teaching yoga. Like this was many years had passed. And as I said, one thing, it's like I opened a door and kept practicing what I was learning, putting into practice. Because we can have a lot of knowledge if we don't practice what we are receiving as wisdom, it just sits there. It's like having a decoration, right?
We call this is a part of the law of attraction, or correct?
Yes, it is. Totally. Because I did not know anything about law of attraction and I had no clue. I didn't understand that, right? But once you do, you realize how it is true. Your whole life, the law of attraction has been there. It's like gravity, right? Like if nobody explained us of gravity, we wouldn't understand. We'll just know that everything sticks to the earth, right? Like everything, if we drop something, it falls, but we don't know until somebody comes and explains, hey, gravity is this. And then we're like, oh, wow, if I drop something, it doesn't fly. And you start thinking about that. So these laws, the universal laws, they always have been working. It's just that's why it's called you're dormant, right? Like it's not that people are not intelligent. It's like their mind, their consciousness is not ready to receive this form of understanding until you are. Like I didn't even know what I was asking for. I just wanted healing and feeling good because I was just so burned out with life. Yeah.
Can I ask you to explain what is a metaphysician for the people who do not know what is a metaphysician?
Yes, a metaphysician is basically somebody that studies and you can teach or not, but you apply, you live by the universal laws. It's intangible things. It's an expansion of consciousness because we live in a logical world. So people want to see the logic in it. And it is hard to learn and to be open to transcend the logic and be open to the miracles that we can receive if we are open to this law. So metaphysics is basically somebody that studies all this hidden knowledge, occultism, esoteric knowledge that defies logic.
Very interesting. Okay. And how this and the masculine and feminine energy connect to each other? And if you can give us a definition of what is a masculine and feminine energy.
Okay. So the way that this connect masculine and feminine energy is the energy of the cosmos. It's almost the best way that I can explain it to a simpler degree. It will be like the yin yang symbol. So you have the black part and the white part, and then within the black part you have a tiny little white, and within the white part you have a tiny little black. So that would be basically the feminine energy, masculine energy, which also contains a little bit of the other in between, right? And that is all the cosmos. But when people, the majority of people, because they don't study the occult and esoteric, they think that masculine energy and feminine energy refers exclusively to a male and to a female. So I would be just feminine energy, you would be just masculine energy. But that is not how it is. We as individuals, we also were part of this cosmos, right? So we are like a drop of the ocean. We're part of the same thing. So we also contain within us that feminine and masculine energy. Of course, we are in a feminine body or in a masculine body, right? But the energy within us, it's what it's calling yoga, the Kundalini energy that rises up is when we heal and connect those aspects within us, the feminine and the masculine energy. And we heal those parts within us that will look a little different between us, right? Because you had a different childhood and different experiences than myself. So the short description of each one of the energies would be the masculine energy is the energy of action, and the feminine energy would be the energy of receiving, allowing. So it's like a passive and active energy, but they are both very powerful. And when it comes to manifestation, they also work. When we're manifesting, we also have to embody both what is the masculine energy and the feminine energy within ourselves.
Very interesting. Can you define for me what is toxic masculinity? Because there is, talking with people, with my clients in my room, there is this thing that go on between, especially between males, between boys, that people complain about the fact that toxic masculinity is an attack to be a man, to be male. Okay. Can you explain what is toxic masculinity and what are the characteristics of this kind of behavior?
Yes. So toxic masculinity, first of all, I want to mention in this like matrix programming that we have from childhood, like what our ancestors come, our grandmother, grandparents, like everything, it's a programming of how we should be and who we should be. So we have preset ideas, and right now we're so influenced by social media. There's a big division between male and female pointing fingers at each other, right? And that creates division in the cosmos. That's why it's being chaotic right now, because we are to be in union, whether we're in relationship or not, but understanding that we're here to work together, not pointing fingers and judging. So the reason that that happens is because of what you say, toxic masculinity, but there is also toxic femininity. And that is not exclusive of men or women. They're very similar. It's just people calls it, because if it's in a woman, they're like, oh, it's toxic femininity. If it's in a man, it's toxic masculinity. But the energies are, the characteristics are very similar. So this comes from childhood, right? If a little boy is mistreated by mom or dad, or belittle or judge or whatever, it's typical thing. Boys don't cry, and you get slapped when you're just a baby, a child. So you generate this resentment, and you are like not wanting to have your emotions shown. So that will be part of what it's called toxic masculinity, but we call it wounded masculine and wounded feminine, right? Because toxic sounds a little bit judgy, like you're toxic,
Yeah,
right? Like,
this is the conversation that go around. How can be masculine toxic when a feminine is not toxic? Well, it is. It's just a part of what we are, and everybody have good masculinity and bad masculinity. In some people is more present one than the other one. One is more aggressive, and maybe someone else is more intuitive and more emotional, connected with the surrounding. You say something very interesting, because I agree with you the fact that there is a pointing to each other between genders. I describe as it's like there is a war between genders right now,
yes,
to define who is the strongest and who is the smartest and should be the top. Where I think we should work to become a better individual. Can you tell me a little bit more about toxic masculinity and what are the characteristics of being toxic masculinity?
yes. A man or woman, okay? But we're talking toxic masculinity in both. It could be aggressive, somebody that is aggressive, because that means it's not in control of its own emotions. We're going to have emotions. A lot of people think they can't have emotions because it's bad. No, we are human. We're going to have frustration, jealousy, anger. Like, the problem is not the emotion. The problem is what you do with that. because the emotion is it's a pinpointer. It's showing you somewhere where it aches. Why are you angry? Because they touch a nerve, something that you have not healed. So it's more common, I think, in this particular one for men to be aggressive than for women, but there's definitely aggression in women. But you see the majority of people that are killers or rapists, or it's the majority is men. And that is because there is a lot of pain in there. There's a lot of anger, they don't know what to do with this energy. And it just showcases in really ugly ways like that, right? And as I say, I'm not saying only men, but that is one of the things, aggressiveness. Also because that is unfortunately an emotion that it's okay in men. It's like, oh, that's okay in general, right? Like if a man is angry, oh, it's because it's a man. But if a man is crying, it's like, oh my goodness, like there's a problem with that. Like it's weak and this. So it's kind of like a society illness, the way that we think of each other. The majority of people think of each other because they haven't healed themselves. So if we don't heal ourselves, we cannot see it in other people. We cannot see each other with compassion, right? So other things that toxic masculinity is dominance. Because a man, naturally, if you see it in nature, there's always like a fight, right? Like war for the female, for the food, for like that's a natural thing. So the male has that desire to conquer, to dominate. But the thing is that energy is usually misdirected because most male don't know what to do with that. And what they do is the dominance over something that is weaker. So either other men that are weaker, like it can show up in boss that it's so aggressive, or just an asshole, or it can show on men that are dominant of women or of children. So that's why a lot of little boys also experience those type of fathers that are not loving. You don't see very much a daddy kissing the little boy. You don't see a daddy usually holding hands with the little boy. It's not very common.
Yeah, it's true, because anyway, it still look weird if a man kiss a boy.
Yeah.
And the expectation is that is the mom that kiss the boy, but not the
Yes.
father he kiss the boy. The expectation the society have is very different between men and women. And there is a lot of, as you say, we accept that the man get upset and go in a fight, and because he's a man, but we cannot understand why a man cry, and we ask for some, he's okay, he need help, or maybe we just need to cry. But
Yes.
because he's a man, the society expects that we don't cry. So this is the expectation that we have ourselves.
Yeah.
How you help couples, because this podcast is about relationship, how you help couples to undefine masculine and feminine energy, and what the people at home can do to define these two type of energy that we have.
Okay. Well, first of all, there's two main things, right? Because this is a journey. This is a journey. There's no quick fixes. But if a person starts becoming self-aware and starts, instead of looking what the partner is doing, starts looking, what am I doing? Not to please the other people, but to heal myself, to become a better person. Like you start taking accountability, right? Because, for example, we didn't talk about this, but toxic femininity could be a very controlling woman, which we also encounter that. Sometimes, and I have experienced that in my family, in my immediate family. I have females in my family that are very controlling of the man, and then the man just sits back. So in a relationship, masculine energy needs to lead, to protect, to provide. But what is it leading? It's leading the relationship. Now, a lot of females become defensive and they're like, I'm not going to submit to a man because they don't understand submission. The only way the majority of people understand submission is as a slavery type of thing. And that's not what this is. That will be from wounded masculine, wounded feminine. That will be a dominance, control over the other human being. This healed dynamic comes from a woman trusting her man. If you don't trust your man that he can be this beautiful king for you, how is he going to be that for you? You don't give the space. You're always nagging. You're always upset. You're always criticizing him or cheating or belittling or whatever, right? Complaining, whatever is the dynamic. And simultaneously, the woman in a relationship is supposed to be nurturing, welcoming, open, allowing, receiving. Receiving what? Receiving the love, the protection. Now, this doesn't mean, I feel like the majority of people just want to see like a list of things, right? Like, but the dynamics can change a little bit, right? But in general, if each person is doing its job, instead of when he changes, then this is why I'm like this, because he keeps doing that. But that is not looking to yourself. If he's so bad, then why are you with him? Now switch the thing. What in you, like what need is this person meeting for you that you're not meeting yourself? Or what are you avoiding to look at within yourself because you're just pinpointing at the other person? And the same thing happens with the man, right? The man also like a man that usually what I have experienced in friends or people that I've seen is a man will be like, I don't want to be in a relationship because I don't want to be controlled. That's usually the main thing. I don't want to be controlled. But
In
here's the
both
thing.
sides.
In both sides. In both sides. That is correct. So if a man is feeling that he can be controlled, that means that he cannot take in the time to control himself.
Mm.
Because somebody that is centered, that is grounded, it's going to respond very differently to a manipulative person. It's not most likely even have a relationship with them. But if you're unhealed, you continue to resonate with those dynamics. So the man is to provide, and a lot of people go straight to the money. It's like, provide money. It's not only about money, it's about he's providing safety, security. He's providing protection, grounding, especially if we're talking of traditional things, which I know right now they're not very traditional. But if it was the traditional mommy, daddy, kids, the mommy raises the kids, dad goes to work, mom is going to be completely out in her mind, tired, exhausted. But then dad comes and just rests. So that dynamic itself is already like not working. Mom cannot develop herself. Mom becomes a slave of the kids, a slave of the house. Dad comes and feels like he's just being used for money. There's no connection in families.
Mm.
And that I even tell my kids right now, I don't know how it is where you live, but here kids leave to school for about 8 hours daily, plus homework in the evenings, plus extracurricular activities in the evening. And then you have, shower, sleep, eating. So when is the time to bond with the parents? There's no time. And same thing for families. And right now here in the United States, everybody's working, females and males. And it's like, who cares for the kids? The nannies or the schools? Who's bonding? Who's raising them? Who's being there for their emotions? It's all about an economic situation. And then mom and dad cannot bond because there's no time. Even if they're just boyfriend and girlfriend living together, it's like everybody goes to work, right? So when they come home, everybody's exhausted and there's no communication. And if they're not working on themselves, meditating, self growth, and creating like clearing childhood trauma, past relationships, anything that fulfills them, everybody's so depleted all the time, so they cannot do.
That-
And a woman cannot open herself if she does not feel safe with the man that she is with.
Fascinating what you say. I like the fact that you're talking about this problem that all society today have. We work a lot. And I remember I was reading a paper from the Gottman Institute, and they were saying that couples in US spend an average of 20 minutes a week in conversations, and it was say this why so many relationships fail, because instead to spend maybe 3 hours in front of TV, they do not spend this time to bond, to be together, and to be in connection to each other. I want to ask you, this masculine and feminine energy between the two individual in the relationship, in the modern world, modern society, where women likely have the chance to work and to provide for the family too, because it's a very important thing that the women have the freedom to go to work and to be independent in some way, especially for some situation, especially with the situation relationship they are maybe manipulated or being abused. They actually have the chance to walk away from the situation. That this wouldn't happen 30, 40 years ago. Women were slave of the situation they were in. This masculine and feminine energy can be exchanged between the partners. So can be a woman be more masculine than a man?
So I love that you talk about work, because that is another thing. Whenever I had shared anything about feminine and masculine energy, women are the first ones to jump into the questions and ask me, but I work. How can I not work? How am I going to stop being masculine? It's not about that. You washing the dishes for me doesn't make you feminine. Me working and bringing money home necessarily doesn't make me masculine. What it is the dynamics and the energy behind it. Because here's the thing, what's happening right now, there was an imbalance before, right? Because of what you said, like women just being kind of like slaved away, used upon, and not being able to do anything, right? Like you have to be married. If you go to the 50s, 40s, whatever, like you have to be married to be part of anything. Otherwise, you were just no more than a dog. Like that's the reality of it. So right now, I feel like there is a revelation as well. And like females went to the complete opposite of being independent, that it's also being unhealthy. But it's all part of exploring, right? Like it's like we grow as a person individually. You're going to grow at your own pace, me too. But we're also growing as a collective, right? We're also growing globally, maybe a little slower than ideally it would be, but we are also growing. So when a woman becomes completely independent, there's two forms. Either you are in a state of bliss, independent, like you're happy and you don't have any issues with men, you're just waiting for the right one, which that will be somebody like me. I work when I want to. I manifest most of it. I don't work a 9 to 5, none of that. But I don't feel masculine because I am working. Now, the difference is the majority of women right now are in a defensive mode of independence, right? Like I'm gonna prove you and you're not gonna tell me what to do. And they feel threatened. And that is what causes the masculine energy, which is wounded masculine energy within the female. Because somebody could want their husband to be at home, for example, and care for the kids, and she goes to work. That doesn't make her masculine. What will make her masculine, if both agree and are happy, right? What will make her masculine would be to have that energy of dominance, of we're not equal. I am more than you because you are at home. You don't get to say, you don't get to speak. Your dreams don't matter, which is what has been happening with the majority of men when they get a woman to get
Yeah.
married
So
with them.
this thing that you just described, that is called toxic masculinity.
Yes,
When a woman, a man become too aggressive toward the partner,
yes,
or any gender, anyway, any
yes,
person that is abusing someone else, that is called toxic masculinity trait.
yes,
Can be at work,
absolutely.
can be at home, can be in
Anywhere,
any place, anywhere.
any
It doesn't
place.
matter who he is. Everyone that have this kind of trait, so dominance,
Yeah,
that want to dominate because they want to impose their way with violence or other ways, that is toxic masculinity.
yes, yeah. Also, emotional repression is toxic masculinity. Yeah, yeah.
How in communication between couples, masculine and feminine energy work? What's the
Okay, well, first, it will be to understand that each one has a role in the relationship. And if you want to be in a relationship that is growing, you're going to have to allow your partner to grow. And you're going to have to be a good listener and to communicate well. I've noticed that a lot of people don't know how to communicate. They don't know because they haven't spent enough time with themselves to know what they want. They keep repeating what they heard their mom say or their dad say or what they watch on TV. It's like you have to, I don't know, you have to get a woman that washes dishes. If she doesn't do, she's not going to be a good wife, right? Like something silly as that. And then it's like, no, what do you want? What do you need for yourself? So people don't know to communicate, how to communicate. I even teach my kids, my younger kids, which are already teenagers, to communicate because they feel uncomfortable or they don't know. It's like the answer is, I don't know. It's like, what do you want? Right? Like, what do you want out of the relationship? So that requires inner work and understanding. I'm going to share a little bit of my ex marriage. My ex husband was always like teams. It's teams, teams. And I will always tell him it's no teams. There's no teams. We are a unity. But he didn't understand that.
what do you mean with teams?
A team player, like we should be supporting each other, not against each other.
So he was saying that you were a team.
I was saying that. He did
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
he was saying well, basically he was saying we're one unity, but I expressed myself wrong. He would think that we were splitting. Like he felt if any of my children agreed to anything that I said, as simple as a dinner, like what do you want for dinner? Pizza or burgers? I want pizza. Oh, my kids would say, me too. That would be like you're taking sides. Like he would take it so as you're taking sides. And I tried to explain no, it's a unity. So when you get married or get into a relationship, you're supposed to get into a relationship to grow together, wherever you are. But the thing is, the majority of people come to the relationship because they felt some physical attraction, or they want some sex, or they want something, right? Like they want status, like they want to get married because it looks good for them, or they don't want to feel lonely or whatever. And then we have this expectations of what the other person has to do or be without really getting to know the other person, because that's another thing. We never stop getting to know the people. I can even say that for my children. They are evolving and they're a different person. Like, so you have to be willing to grow with your partner and to give space and to communicate your needs and to be a good listener. The majority of people, as soon as somebody starts speaking, the other one becomes defensive and takes it as a personal, like a personal punch.
Mm-hmm.
It's a personal punch, and it just leads to more resentment and more this and that without really sitting with an open heart and open mind. And you can still say no. It doesn't mean you're going to agree. It's good to have boundaries, even within the relationship. But you have to be open to listen
Mm.
and to do your best to understand your partner's needs and see where you can meet each other and understand that your partner is not your fix all. Your partner, like a lot of people also see that, if I have a relationship, my life's going to be solved, whether it's money or sex or status or company, or I have somebody to make my food or to have my children or whatever it is, right? To buy me a car, whatever it is that the person is looking for. But it is more than that. It is a whole, if you're going to spend the rest of your life with this person, what do you want out of that? And if you're just looking to suck something from them without giving, then you become an energy vampire.
True.
Then,
True.
yeah.
Can you give me some example of communication that is masculine and feminine energy? And if you can explain a little bit what couples can do to reconnect with their side, masculine and feminine energy, what are the things that you could maybe suggest to them to do at
Yes.
home?
Something that I would suggest would be to just sit in front of each other and don't talk. Just look at each other's eyes, and let what's coming up to come. You don't have to verbalize it, especially if you're angry, right?
Yes.
Like at the moment, like don't, but like start feeling within your body, and you're both gonna agree that you're not gonna get mad. You're not, and if one of them cannot do it, it's okay. Like be open that maybe it'd be too much for somebody because it's so vulnerable. It's so much vulnerability over it. And especially if see like women have not had a safe space to open their emotions and their intuition. Yeah, since the past they've always been cataloged as crazy, as witches, as neurotic, as when they are just trying to express emotions. Why? Because the emotions in men have been suppressed. So the only emotion in men that is allowed, as I said before, is anger, control, dominance. That is the symbol of masculinity, but that is not. That is actually toxic masculinity. But that's what they have portrayed. So then it's like there's two problems here because now they cannot be in what they need to be, in what they are meant to be. A woman, natural goddess energy is her intuitiveness. She has to connect to that. And for that, she needs to feel safe in a space where she can be open and she can express her emotions. But the majority of men are very uncomfortable with women's emotions because they have not tapped with their own feminine energy within themselves, with their own emotions. They don't know
Mm,
more than anger. They
mm,
feel weird if they're crying. They feel weird if they express love. Or like you say, you don't have your friend come and hug you. It's like, what? Are you have a crush on me? Why are you hugging me? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Like are we homosexual now? Like, it get defensive.
mm,
And there's no like brotherhood per se. There's no brotherhood. It's like it's manly, right? And so what happens in the majority of times, some man will be able to open and find that safe space within their woman. But then they go out again, they don't want to show any of that. It's just with the
mm,
woman, right? Because the woman is creating that open energy. But if that woman has not healed her own femininity and is a shame, and she's like, no, I have to be like a man and I'm gonna suppress my feminine side, then she cannot open for him. Whatever we don't achieve within ourselves, we cannot offer it because we don't have it. See, if I want to be feminine with you or confident with you because you're a man, but then I am not confident in my daily life, I cannot just turn it on as a switch just because I'm with you. It's something that I have to cultivate within myself. I have to, it's like if I tell you right now, Mauro, give me something, start crying, tell me something really sad, you're gonna be like, what? Like, why? Who are you? Like, why? Right? Like, what makes you?
Probably I do, but because I did the work.
You did your work, so you feel comfortable with that part of you. So that proves that because you did it, now you can do it with me. See, because you have that now within you. So couples can do that individually and look at themselves and start seeing, I act like this because my mom did this, or my dad did this, or because I was in foster home, or because, I was in drugs, whatever it is, right? But you start looking at yourself and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm carrying this to my spouse. I'm like, you have to look at yourself. It's like, I'm very stressed at work. I cannot just go home and kill it with sex because that's just putting a band aid. And then you transfer all that negative energy into your partner's body and you're not going to love her. You're going to make an act of sex, but you're not going to have an open heart to actually look at this woman or at this man and be grateful. I'm so thankful you are in my life. I appreciate you. I love everything about you, even the areas that you're working on. And the other thing is we can have so much unrealistic expectations. I feel that right now there's also crazy, crazy amount of unrealistic expectations on both sides. It's like men
Absolutely.
have to be all this and women have to be all this. It's like, look around, go to your grocery store, walk around. Where do you see people holding all these things? And like they have it all. They look good and they're young and they have money and they are healed and they are prosperous and this and that and blah, blah, blah. We're human beings. We're all in this together. And yes, you can choose, choose better, heal yourself, take time to be celibate or whatever, but have compassion. Have compassion. We can't expect a world where there is love and harmony if we don't start creating it within ourselves and within our little circle. Now we just can't.
Yes, this is why this podcast is called the Progress Over Perfection, because we expect that we are perfect,
Exactly.
but we
And
are
I
not.
love the name. I
Yeah.
love the name. I remember when I read it, I was like, this is wonderful. It takes such a big weight off the shoulders,
Yes.
just the
Yes.
name of it, right? Like progress over perfection. I really love the name of your
Yeah.
podcast.
Well, this is the philosophy, as you say. The expectation that we already here when we are just humans, and even the richest people in the world or the most powerful people in the world, they are not perfect. And
Yeah.
they are people that maybe have worked on themselves, and people that success, even normal people. Success is the definition of success is something that we give for ourselves as a definition. For people, success is for kids. For someone else, is having a mansion on the beach. For someone else, is living in the middle of a mountain and do nothing all day, just maybe hunting sometime and stay away from everything. The point is the expectation that we have from ourselves that we must be perfect. We must find a perfect partner with a perfect body and with a perfect characteristic that is always perfectly or never talk. And we want a perfect car with work in a perfect world. This is the expectation that we have today. And I think the majority of this influence come from internet. So Instagram and this world make the competition. Before, the competition was between the people in the town. Now the competition that we have is with the people all around the world. And this is why, as you say, and this is why I agree with you when you say, if you work on yourself and you look who you are, what do you want in life, you can find a part of yourself and heal that part of yourself and become the person that you want to become. And this is what you do, correct? You help people to find this.
Yes. Yeah. So, what you said about not being happy and what success means to everybody, it's different. Since I taught yoga so much and I still practice that philosophy, and it's about the mind. Like, we get more now into the psyche. Our mind is programmed to not be in the present moment. And that is one of the main practices of yoga, is to bring the mind to the present moment. What is right now? The majority of people, I remember when I was teaching yoga, I would say, like, grab your left foot with your right hand, and people would literally become like startled, having to think. They're not stupid, as they don't know their right side from their left side. They're not used to connecting your pinky with your toe or whatever. Like, it will take a little bit of time for their brain. So people don't know how to be in their body. They're disconnected from their body, and they're disconnected from the present moment. Majority of people go to work, they don't want to be there. Very few people work in something that they love. Majority of people are programmed to go to work because they think, it's a thing to do. You have to study something to please the family or whatever. And it's not what you want. You're going to choose something that you think is going to give you good money. And the majority of people just do for sake of work and money, right? Because they don't know anymore. And that's why I teach in my channel is you have to awaken that divinity in you so that you can break from those patterns and live a blissful life. So where you are not a slave of the work or a slave of society, and you learn to be present, because being present is what is going to connect you to your body, to your emotions. And it is difficult. I'm not going to lie. It can be scary. And we call it inner work or shadow work, which I'm sure you're familiar with that word. But it is basically when you really start looking at yourself. If I am so unhappy, for example, if I'm so unhappy at work, why don't quit? Because you're going to give me a lot of excuses, but in reality, it's because you don't believe in yourself, that you can be successful doing your own business or whatever. So that's when the inner work comes. When you are focusing on another person, since this is about relationships, you're focusing on what your wife or partner is doing or not doing, and vice versa, your husband or the man that you're wanting to date, and you're constantly nitpicking everything that they do and say. You can't be a friend like that. When you make friends, you're not like that. I know we're not like that when we make friends. We are very relaxed. We're having fun with this person. We're laughing. We're not nitpicking this person. And we also let go of little stupid things they do because we love them. We enjoy our time together. We may not like how they dress or how they chew or whatever, but it's no biggie. But then we make it a biggie for everything when we are looking to date or when we are in a relationship. And it starts being a dynamic of everybody's doing something wrong, but then you don't look at yourself. And the thing is that we really don't have any control on other people unless we force it, which is the toxic masculinity thing, right? But we don't have it. The true mastery and control comes from true mastery and control of you. You need to control your reactions, your emotions. What are you bringing to the relationship? And if you really see that your partner is not cooperating, then have the balls to leave. Be loving, understanding. Understand that sometimes it's time to part ways. That's what I did in my marriage. I'm not encouraging people to divorce, but I had been wanting to divorce for years prior, and my ex-husband was not interested in doing any inner work. He was not, he just wanted to work, 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 work. That's his passion. So it hurt me, but I understood this is his mindset right now. I'm not going to change it, but that is not what I want for me. So we part ways, and we have to honor that within ourselves too. And, you say in the past, a lot of marriages stay together And yes, I can attest that, like in my grandparents or stuff, but they are very toxic relationships.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very sad because that stunts the growth of the person. Nobody's growing there. Everybody's caving the hole deeper for each other. And it becomes very sad. So the idea now with all this social media and whatever is to ascend to higher realms of consciousness, not to compare with each other and be upset. And plus, social media is a snap of something and we all put the best thing. I don't dress like this every day. I don't make my hair every day. I did this because I'm coming to record this, right? But we are people. Like, I'm not going to be dressed up the whole day, but I'm going to post this. I'm going to snap a good picture, right? And it doesn't mean that I'm always wearing lipstick or that my hair is always done. So it is the same thing. We post highlights of our life, right? We post highlights. And I post sometimes about money that I manifest, but I also explain, there were times where it wasn't easy. So we need to just understand that social media is just that. It's highlights of the best, what the people experience on that day. Nobody's going to come and say like, well, I have a crappy marriage and I'm broke and this
Yes,
and that. And
absolutely.
here's a picture, right? Like it is because that's ego based and
Well,
it's okay. It's part of human nature. But when we shift the focus, as I said, instead of looking out and comparing, and we shift the focus to us, compare yourself with yourself. Who were you last year? Where are you right now? Are you reaching your goals? What goals do you have? That's part of heal masculine, to have a purpose. And I
well,
would say it for a feminine too. Like that's part of her masculine energy. Have a purpose in life. What is your purpose in life? What do you want? Where are you heading to? Stop wasting your time pointing at other people because when you fix yourself, the other people is going to reflect that in you. You don't need to be fixing anybody. It doesn't work. Just look at all the years and decades of trying to do this dominance thing over other person. It doesn't work. Like
look,
how many more years do they want to realize?
I agree with you. There is I don't know if you know Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was a figure, was a public speaker, was a coach. He is the teacher of Tony Robbins and other big name today in US. And
Yeah.
he used to say, when I was young, I was pointing a finger to the government, to my parents, to my mom, to my dad, to my friend. Everything around me was taxes. Everything around me was bad. But my life changed when I changed myself. So the years later, the government was almost the same. My parents were almost the same. My friends were do the same. The taxes were all the same. What was
Yeah.
changed me, myself. And the growth, I say, that I had in this year, just changed myself, change everything in the next 10 years time. And it is absolutely true. If you stop to pointing the finger to others and you look what you can do the best every day to be the best of yourself, life will align with who you are. That's correct.
Yes, absolutely. And that's part of like the universal laws. They will reflect who you are being.
Absolutely. Miriam, can I ask you, can you give me a couple of practical tools, things, technique that people can use at home
For to do with your partner, to do individual,
between couples?
between couples. I would recommend, as I said earlier, sitting and looking at each other.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much power in our eyes. There is so much healing in our eyes, and just let emotions come. And I would recommend that each one of the person writes down what do they love about their partner and focus on that. What do they love? Why are they staying in there? Why do they want a relationship? Right? Those exercises, I highly, highly recommend meditating together. People don't want to meditate. You have no idea how much I tell people to meditate. because meditation is a fast path to your growth and your healing. Because in meditation, you learn to redirect your mental energy. The majority of people have their mental energy. That means lots of thoughts all day, every day. Thoughts create emotions. And then our brain tends to cling into one of them, the worst one, and keep feeding it, feeding. So there's no mind control. And that generates a crappy reality because we are always creating, whether people know about the laws or not, right? The law of attraction and assumption and all of that. Whether you know or not, it is working. So if couples meditate together, that is going to begin to vibrate, to create a vibration between them that is more equal. Now, if they begin to focus every day on one thing that they like and appreciate about their partner, one thing, it doesn't matter if it was just they took the trash and you didn't ask, or they kissed you when you came from work. What do you appreciate from that person? Just one thing. If you can create that new routine and every day just find one thing, because that will begin to switch the way that you see your partner. Now, I personally believe that any human being could work with one another. And I know this could be like maybe nobody's going to agree with me, but I strongly believe that every man and woman could make it work together if they did their inner work, because not they would see the other person from a very different standpoint than from what they see them now, right? That man, just speaking in general, that man is not just going to represent money. That woman is not just going to represent sex. And it's going to transcend all that. You would actually see the divinity in each other and make it work. But the thing is like, oh, I can't forgive them. They did this, they did that. Blah, blah. You're not working on yourself. Then don't complain. Right?
Love
Like
it.
you're unhappy at work. You're unhappy at work. Don't complain. You know?
I love it. Of course, today we talked about men and women, but this energy can be in any kind of relationship. It doesn't matter what gender or what kind of relationship that you have. It's important that you understand that masculine and feminine energy is between people, is inside the people, correct, Miriam? Is
Yes.
inside us, both of
Yes.
them, correct?
Yes.
And in any relationship, there is always someone have more one trait than the other one, and this is why they match so well. This is why they start to matching so well together from the beginning. You say something very, very good. I'm practicing a lot with my couples to remember what make them to be together at the first. So what was the things that make person A to fall in love with person B? Okay, and what are the good traits? What were the good traits that they were seeing each other? And I can see that when they start this process, as you say, is to start the process to identify even just one simple thing in your partner that is positive, then slowly you start to see all the rest of them.
Yeah.
And
It
I
generates
agree
that.
with you. I absolutely agree with you with the eyes contact. I don't know if you feel the same when you work with your client. People are uncomfortable to watch inside each other's eyes.
Yeah. They are.
Yeah, they are.
They are. They are. It's because, like I said earlier, it's a space of vulnerability.
Mm, mhm,
And I remember, I don't recall the name of the show, but there was a show or TikTok show or something. I don't know. But it was, they would seat strangers. It was like a study. They would seat completely strangers in a table across each other, small table, and they just had to stare at each other for a certain amount of time, no talking, completely strangers, just observe each other. And a lot of them started saying that they started feeling like they were falling in love with each other. And it was just that, because we do have a lot of power within us that is divine power. But the majority of people don't have it awakened because they're so busy with crap, like working and TV and drinking and porn, and they don't connect. That's why I said meditation, it's where you shut the external world so that you can come into the inner world. And a lot of people, I feel that they feel overwhelmed, or at least that was my case with students in yoga studios. They feel that they have to be sitting for an hour to meditate. They're like, I don't have time. I can personally tell you from 20 plus years practicing and teaching, I don't sit an hour. I fall asleep. You don't need an hour. Sometimes I do 5 minutes. Sometimes I do 10 minutes, 20 minutes. What is important, even if it's just 1 minute, is your daily practice. It's okay if it's just 1 minute. You're
Daily
pulling your
practice.
energy in. Yes, you need to do something different if you want to expect different results. You
Agree.
can't have something else everybody else is waiting for the other person to change to have different results. And that's why we have the same results, because nobody's just going to do it because you said so, or they're going to be very unhappy and then you're going to be very unhappy. So what can you do? That's another thing for couples. What can you do to bring more love into this home, to bring more, to give something to the relationship? What can you do to pour something, not in the other person itself, in the relationship? What can you do there?
Fantastic.
You
Look,
know,
Miriam, we're almost at the end of this. Look, I will spend another couple hours talk with you. Yeah. No, 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 no. The thing is, this conversation is very interesting. And because I like this kind of topics, and I will spend another couple hours talk with you about this. The problem is that I would like that you give us a couple of books that you recommend to people, for people that want to start the journey of self-awakenings and understanding masculine and feminine energy.
okay. You cut me off. I know this one is Sticky Valley, and I know it will be a little bit harder to understand, but that could be one. I would say personally, I don't find a lot of books that are. I love to dive into ancient knowledge.
Yeah.
There's this great book. Okay, this is a great book for both, for the couples. It's the Five Love Languages, or Five Languages of Love, by, oh my gosh, what is his name? Gary Chapman.
Yes, 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 yes.
That book is such a rich book because it explains five main languages of love. I remember when I read that book, was it just such an eye opener, because my love language, one of my main ones, is physical touch. And my ex-husband, didn't have that growing up. So he didn't know how to express hugs and stuff. To him, a hug a month was good. That wasn't speaking my language of love. So I didn't feel love. And that is a great book that I can recommend for both to understand that, the dynamic of it. But basically, anything that is about their personal growth will align their feminine and masculine energy. They don't have to worry too much if it's their feminine or masculine, because a lot of people get confused. If they start just healing themselves, if they're in codependent relationships, toxic dynamics, narcissistic abuse. There is this lady on YouTube that helped me a lot because I did experience narcissistic and codependency, and personally, I was the
What's her
codependent,
name?
of course. She is Lisa Romano.
Lisa Romano. Okay.
Lisa A. Romano. She's on YouTube. She is the best person that I ever found that helped me a lot understanding all that and healing the children, the child wound. That if they can get themselves to heal their inner wounds, their child wounds, whatever they're carrying inside, and they commit to meditation, they will. And of course I invite them to watch my channel because I do share a lot in there, not necessarily of masculine and feminine energy, but how to better themselves and how to awaken that divinity within them. Because when they do that, it's an energy, the Kundalini energy, that comes out of the balance of what it's called the Ida and the Pingala, the masculine and feminine channels within ourselves. So it's okay. They don't need to worry too much about that. But yeah, I recommend that book. I think that book is amazing.
Beautiful.
For
Thank you, Miriam. Last things, if people want to contact you and see your work, where they can find you?
Oh, they can find me on my YouTube. It's called the Triple Goddess.
The Triple Goddess. Okay.
Yeah, the Triple Goddess, and my name is Miriam Valenzuela. So they could find me there. I started a page on Facebook too. They can find me there as well.
Beautiful. I will put everything on under the YouTube video.
Mm.
Miriam, thank you so much for this beautiful conversation. It was very interesting insight from you. Now we're going to close this video and see you the next one. Ciao,
Thank you.
ciao from Miriam.
Bye. Thank you so much, Mauro.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye.